testing audio. Hello, audio testing.
So hey guys, we'll be starting in 5 minutes. We're starting by 7:05. Hey guys, so let us know in the chat if the audio and video is fine. This is our first time, so yeah. Okay, okay. I see it's fine. Great. So we'll be starting in about a minute. So I hope everyone can see the screen. Okay, we asked about that. Okay, the pointer might be invisible. It's fine, I guess. Yeah, while that's happening, something really important that I did not cover last time, that was how to get Jupyter Lab in dark mode. So you just go into settings, Jupyter Lab theme, and then you can select Jupyter Lab light and Jupyter Lab dark. Do not keep it on light. That's for just people don't do that. Keep it on dark. Okay. So yeah, that's one thing. Okay, cool. It's 7:05. I'll be starting now. So from last session, uh, I'll go over the last session what we covered. Just open the file. You should, if you were there during the last session, you should have it. If you don't have it, you can look through what I'm covering right now. We saw how to print stuff. Then we saw what variables are. Then we saw what variables are not, or what are not variables. Later on, we covered some basic arithmetic, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. Then we also did exponential, which gave us a really large number, which was, well, it is what it is. Then we covered booleans, because true and false. Then we covered if statements. We covered what lists are, what tuples are, how you can store a lot of things in a single variable, how we can access things from within lists, how you can make lists of lists, and how to make a list immutable. Immutable basically means you cannot change the values inside a list. That's a immutable list. We call it a tuple in Python. Then we have loops, and then we made some functions about straight lines, Gaussian squares, and this is how you start plotting stuff. The plots will be in light mode. I'm sorry about that, but that's the standard. That's how you want them in your reports and presentations. That's how we left them as. I think there's some place in Matplotlib where you can set these colors as well, so that's nice. Then we saw how to set up titles and stuff like that. Then we saved them as well. Then we saw how we can do the legends with lines, dots, and other things. And yeah, so you can click over here to see all the files that you have. The other options are out of the scope of this particular course. You feel free to take a look at what they are though. Okay, so if you are logged in into Jupyter Hub, you'll see a data folder over here. It has 3 files: confirm.csv, deaths.csv, and recover.csv. As the pandemic is about to end, I mean, like, that's how I see it. This is like a last call to what things are going on. So if you double click a file, it'll open up in your Jupyter Hub main screen. You'll be able to see what the file is. So the first is about provinces and states. The second row is countries and regions. So each and every country, and if a country has multiple provinces or states, it's been broken up. And even if it does not have, usually it's just in a single thing, but for some places it's been blown up. For Canada, China, cause yeah. And this is the latitude, longitude, and the number of confirmed cases they had on that particular day. That's the whole array till, I think this is till 14th of January 2021. So that's pretty recent, for like 3 days ago from today, because that's when we downloaded this. So by the way, this data was picked up from John Hopkins database. It's on GitHub if you look for it. Okay, so that's recovered. Same goes for deaths.csv. It is the list of number of people who died by COVID. Then there's recovered.csv, the people who became negative, as in COVID negative, after they turned positive. That's the list of recovered people. No, not the list of recovered people, the number of people who recovered during that day. So that's what our data set is. Now you'd be wondering what the CSV is. The CSV basically is a comma separated file. You can open it in Excel as well, these files. If you want to see how they would look in Excel, you can right click and download them and open them in Excel. Don't do that right now. We're kind of short of time, so we'll have to cover a lot of things. So you can close your notebook which is open by pressing on this cross. Okay. Now for this, I'm going to open another Jupyter notebook. What these other things are again out of scope. I'm sorry, so many things are out of scope, but there's a lot of things that we have to cover. That's why. So let's start a new notebook. Click on Python 3. So now we have a new notebook. I'm gonna rename it. To rename, just click on the name, right click on the name, and click on rename notebook. I'm gonna rename this to day 2 because maintaining convention is important. Okay. So yeah. So what we're gonna do is try plotting stuff with our data, like number of active cases in the day, number of deaths, number of we're just gonna plot stuff and see if we can see some pattern, something like that. How generally data analysis occurs. So okay, let's start with. So we're going to use a couple of libraries for this. We'll start with Pandas, PNDS. Some people call it Pandas. I'm not sure why. So import Pandas as PD. It's usually imported as PD. It doesn't matter. You can directly write import Pandas, and whenever you use PD dot something, you write Pandas dot something. But as convention, go with import Pandas as PD. We'll be using matplotlib for plotting. I covered this in the last lecture. If you were not there, don't worry about it. You can. There's a lot of resources about it too. Import matplotlib dot pyplot as plt. Yeah, that, and we will be needing numpy as np, and then shift enter to run a cell. Again, if you want to run the cell and stay in the same cell, you can do control enter. I'm not going to do that because I've ran the cell already. Running the cell again does not usually cause errors unless you end up, there are some special cases where you can end up with errors in that as well. Okay, great. So first we need to import the data. For importing data into our Python code. So to import the data, we can do pd. So this is a CSV file. So we can do pd.read CSV, read underscore CSV, and then the path of the file. The path of the file is in where the file is with respect to where this particular notebook is. So with respect to this particular notebook, it is inside the data folder, and the name of the file is confirm.csv. So I'm just gonna quickly do that. Data slash confirm.csv, and I'll run the cell, shift enter, and there you go. Now I have all my data inside. You'll see that there's weird n, capital N, small n, capital N's all around the place. This means that the cell was empty. So if I show you confirm.csv, you'll see that these cells are empty. Empty cells mean that there's nothing in those cells, even in Excel. So it is represented as NaN in Pandas. So that's how you can see the whole data set. I'm going to cover how you can. Okay, so I'm going to store all of this into a variable. Confirmed. Just confirmed. I call it data. Just why not? Shift enter. Okay. So I ran the cell again. That's why it changed to 3. So we have 1, 3. Don't worry, 2 is not gone. 2 was ran. Just reran the cell. So now. Okay, so you can see the. Okay, now I'm gonna explain. Now I'm gonna just go through a few ways of how you could see the data. Again, I converted this cell to markdown mode. So I can just give headings and stuff like that. So seeing your data. See, our romanticism died yesterday. Confirmed data. So that's how you can see the data if you want to see the whole thing. And there are other ways to see the data. This is a little weird. So it shows the number of rows and columns that it has. So confirmed data dot head. If you run the function dot head on this, it gives you the top 5 rows with all the columns. You can see, say if you want to see 12 rows, if you pass in the parameter 12 in it, it will show you the top 12 rows. That's one of the things you can do. You can also see the end part of the data. Confirmed, so FIRMED data. Yeah. Confirm data dot tail. Yep. Shift enter to run the cell, and those are the last 5 rows. If I want to see more, I can see the last last 15 rows. It'll enter them for me. Okay, so now that is all as to how we can see the data. There are more ways, obviously. Okay, so now if you want to see the columns in the data, as in it will list down, it will show you the list of the headings, like what columns are in your data. You can do the name of the variable in which. Okay, so in Pandas we call this thing as a data frame. So if I ever say see something of a data frame, it means of this thing. Okay, so confirmed data dot columns, LUMNS, that shows me the list of all the headings in this particular table. So you'll see a dot here because the list was too long, so I did not enter the whole thing. So don't worry about it. The dates here, you can remember what the dates are. You can calculate what the dates are. Okay, so that's how you can see what's in a data frame. So we saw how to import stuff, how to get data in. we saw how to see the data. Now let's see how we can delete particular parts of the data. We'll change this to markdown mode, and okay, so removing stuff. Data is too mainstream. Okay, so say I want to drop columns. So I don't really, the thing that I'm plotting is the number of people who are, number of active COVID patients over the time. So I don't need the latitude and longitude columns, right? I can just drop them. So I'm going to drop them. So I can just say confirmed data dot drop, and then I can just pass a list of all the columns that I want to drop. I want to drop latitude, and I want to drop longitude. So you have to make sure you copy the right thing. If you don't copy the right thing, it gives you an error. So you need to call latitude, longitude, and so I'm not gonna print. I'm not gonna split this in provinces and states. I'm just gonna collapse all, like I'm just gonna collapse countries into a single cell. I'm gonna show you how to do that later on. But for now, let's just drop the province and state as well. So I can just copy from here. I guess I can do that. Now I don't have to type. It's pro move. I have no idea why I did that. Okay, so we did something wrong. What is the error? Not found axis. Okay, you need to tell it what axis to delete it on. Okay, so these, if you don't provide it access, so this is the row thing is the 0th axis, and the column thing is the first axis. So if you want to apply something along the columns, you provided the parameter axis equal to 1. If you want to delete a particular row, then you provided axis equal to 0. It by default goes to axis equal to 0. So if I now provide axis equal to 1, shift enter, now that has deleted those three columns. But now if I check what my data frame is, again data frame is what this table is, confirm data, you'd see that these things weren't deleted. Now that's weird because I dropped them. I clearly dropped them here. I can see that I dropped them because those columns are not here, those 3 particular columns, but they are still here. That is because it just showed me what would happen if I drop it. I have to assign this to itself. This happens a lot of time. So if sometimes you're seeing that your data isn't changing but you're applying all the functions, it's usually because you did not assign it to itself again. So I confirm data equal to confirm data drop. If I run this, and now if I check what my confirmed data table is, you'll see that those columns have been dropped. Now if you want those columns back, you'll have to import the data again. How you import data is read CSV. Okay, you can also import Excel files. So you just XLSX, or if you have a tab separate file, it's called a TSV. You can read underscore TSV to import data files. Okay, so now we have removed the data that we don't want, and everything else is here. Now I would like this as okay, let's start with filtering stuff out. Let's say I just want to see what number of I just want to see the number of cases for, say, Algeria. Why not? So if I write a expression which gives out a true false with a data frame, so okay, so if I want to access just one column, I can do confirmed data and then the name of the column. That would just show me the column. So I just say I want to see this column, and just paste the name. That would show me the values of that column. This is they call it a series in Pandas. Don't worry about it though. Data type is object. If you print out something which is a row, then it shows that it's a float type. So data type is an int 64. If there were decimal numbers, it would show that it is a float type. This is an int 64. I'm sorry about that. So yeah, you get the length and you get the name of the column which you just saw. So now I can take out columns, and with that, now how do I take out rows? So to take out rows, you could use lock. We'll be covering that later on, but right now let's take out this series of the country and region. Okay, yeah, it's here. You can control Z and just go back, shift enter. So now I have a list of countries. So if I equal to what country were we? Algeria. Okay, Algeria, and run this. not equal to okay, yeah. I accidentally rewrote the whole column as Algeria. So if you check the data, okay, I can run this right. Okay. So if you check the data, all the countries have been changed to Algeria. When this happens, don't worry about it. Just go back and rerun the whole thing. Okay. Okay. I did not cover this in the last time, but I wanted to. So if there's a particular line which is messing up the whole thing, which messed up your data frame, just remove that cell. And if you want to run the whole thing, sheet, whole notebook again, you just click this button besides code, all the way, just click restart, and it will run everything again for you. You don't have to go through it manually. Okay, so now everything is fine, just the way I wanted it to be, with these three columns dropped. And yeah, so now I want to take out the row in which Algeria is there. Okay, so I've confirmed data country / region. I want to check if this is equal to Algeria. Okay, so good. Now I got a list of false, true, and then all others are false. I know that because I've checked before. So now I got a list of true and false. So you would say, well, how do I get this from that? So the funny thing is, if you provide this particular list of trues and false as a argument, not exactly as a index to the data frame, it just gives you out the lists, gives you out those rows where the like the index number is true. So let's pass this whole thing, confirm data. Let's pass this whole thing. This generates a list. So let's pass this list of trues and false as an index of the data frame. FIRMED. Okay. If I run this, it just gave out one column. So that depends on the number of trues. All the trues will only those rows which correspond to that corresponds to that index true will show up here. So you'd say that okay, that's just one row. How do I? Okay, let's go with something which has more number of. Okay, Australia has more number of what rows in the whole database. I'll just copy this line in the data frame, not database. Australia. Okay, so these are all the rows in which country region was Australia. Now I can do some funny things with this as well. If I just feed it this and give it 0, then we'll have the list of all the rows in which the number of people would like number of confirmed cases on the first day, that is 11th. So 22nd of January would be 0. I'm not sure I would want that, but yeah, that's one thing you can do. Okay, so we have that. Now we can filter out lists. We can take out small chunks of our whole database depending on our condition that we give to it. So now we can go ahead and okay, so I can take out, okay, let's just take out the countries again. This gives me a series of countries. It's the same thing. Okay, now there's Australia again and again in this thing. If you want to see the whole thing, I can just the list function converts a series into like anything which is a list like thing into a list. If I run this, you see it converts it to list, and a list is printed the whole thing. So there's Canada a lot of times, there's Australia a lot of times, and there's all of these countries a lot of times. I'm just gonna, but I want a list in which there's like all of these instances which are coming again and again can only show up once. So I just want one China, one Canada, one Australia, and stuff like that. So you could use the set function in Python, but that is a little inefficient. So you want to use something which is provided by Pandas by itself. Dot unique. This is a function. Yeah, this is a function. So shift enter to run the cell, and now so we have only one Australia. We have one. Where Canada go? Yeah, there's Canada, and China should be around here somewhere. Yeah, there you go. There's China. So okay, so that's how you can. So unique basically just does what it did here. So I'm just gonna keep it to list. So unique. So this is the list of countries. I can just store it. TRIS. So by the way, fun fact, you would have. remove this just to show something. This says that this is an array, and from if you attended yesterday's lecture, this is how NumPy array showed up. Fun fact: Pandas uses NumPy on the inside for doing column and row stuff because NumPy by itself is a really fast library, so they are dependencies of each other. So what do I want to do? Okay, I want to store it as countries. So I hope you guys are following along. I did not see that before. You can drop questions in the chat, and obviously you can ask your moderators if you are a part of the thing. Okay, so you have confirmed. So now we have imported the confirmed data. Now we have the list of countries as well. Now what do we do? Okay, now I want to collapse this thing. Okay, there are a few random things that I need. Okay, yeah. So let's just collapse all of these things into a single row. So I want like all of the rows of Australia, say like 1184. So for this particular date, I want to add the confirmed number of cases into just one row. I want to add these things up and I just have it under one row named Australia. And I obviously do not want to do it manually because come on, we are Python programmers. We don't do that kind of stuff here. We don't do that here. So I'll just name this as random stuff because it's rather random. So there may be better ways of doing this, but this is what I could think of at the top of my head. That's how we're going to do it. Okay, so this is the list of Australia, right? You can just take this, and Pandas again provides good functions to help us out with this. I can write a sum, and I wanna add it linearly from up to down. So I wanna add up rows. That's why I provide axis equal to 0. So if I run this, so that added those things up. You'll see that it added up countries as well. But it added up this. This is what I exactly wanted to be added up. So we have that. How to fix this, I'll be covering that in just a minute. So it added up all the rows linearly for Australia. Now we wanted to do it for all of the countries where there are duplicates of where there are duplicate rows with country or region being the same. So how you can get duplicates is again Pandas provides great support for that. You can just say duplicates or duplicated. Okay, duplicated I think. Yeah. Then you provide it with a list of things which you want to be same. I want country or region to be same. Confirm data dot duplicated duplicates. Huh. D-U-P. Oh. Yeah, typos, man. Duplicate. Yeah, there you go. So now I have a list of trues and false, just as I had before. So if in this list there's a true, it means there exists a duplicate of that particular data, particular row in the column country and region. So if I just pass it as an index of a data frame, again typos, man. C-O-N-F-I-R-M-A-D date, again typo. Yeah, it's great. Okay, so now I provide this. I get only the duplicates. Now I know. Now I can just loop through this and add stuff up, and just drop it from the main database and then add the added up ones in it. So I'm just gonna run for country in countries. So I'm gonna loop through the list of countries which I generated before. COUNTRIE country. So that's how you can print countries. Okay, I have the access to all the list of countries. Now something is going on here. Okay. Shit. We'll be back in a